General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google Blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
All right, it's Friday, October 9th, 2020. 24, Susie Gold, 24 days. You believe it?
Oh, my gosh. And then we'll know, what our country will look like. Is this going to be are we going to head towards socialism, or are we going to continue with capitalism and grow our country again? Or, yeah, this is the biggest election of our time.
You hear that all the time, but it really is.
It really is. This is good against evil.
And we have a special guest coming up in a little bit who's going to answer all those questions. He's got the answer to everything, ladies and gentlemen. You'll hear from him very, very shortly. You're listening to Tom Trento, WWNN 1470 on the AM side. We want you to be listening to Steve Kane, Brian Craig. They're from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock on our station here. They deliver a sizable audience to us, and we take you where we do. Mata over there, Make America Think Again, right behind Susie Gold. Make America Think Again. Our desire is to provide information so that you can intelligently understand what the heck is going on in the world. If you want, you could be watching this show on theunitedwest.org. We live stream it. And if you're in somewhere else on the globe where you have an internet, iHeartRadio, you can listen to us live. If you can't listen to us live, you can go to our website or our YouTube page, theunitedwest.org, YouTube/theunitedwest. So a lot of ways to get involved. Our desire, the name of our organization, The United West, to unite the principles of Western civilization against the enemies of the West. And we have two dramatic ones in play in our lifetime right now. We have Islamic Jihad looking to derail Western civilization. And we have Karl Marx rearing his ugly head once again, trying to bring a new fangled philosophy, political philosophy, warmed over and served up by many on the left side of the political agenda. And one of the individuals that funds this, you always need a funder, Susie Gold. You do our appeals for us.
Yes.
You know how important funds are.
That's right.
You always need a funder.
In order to operate and do anything, we need the funds to do it.
One of the greatest funders of the socialist left is an individual that was the target of a phenomenal 30-minute documentary that I watched Sunday morning, last Sunday. And we have the genius. The individual behind that, Dr. Frank Wright from D. James Kennedy Ministries. Dr. Wright, how are you today?
I'm very well, Tom. Thanks, Susie. Genius is not something I hear often attributed to me, so thank you, brother. I'll take it. I'll receive it.
I'm prone to hyperbole, they tell me.
Oh, well, now you're undoing what you said, see? I said something nice, and now I really didn't mean it all that much.
But you produced an excellent show. We know quite a bit about Mr. George Soros here, and you produced a half-hour documentary. Mark, we sent you the 3-minute thing. You can plop that in. You got it? Okay, we'll play it in a little bit. You produced a documentary that is an excellent piece for people that may have never heard of George Soros and what's going on. Well, I want to go through this because this guy is so dangerous and detrimental to the West. Why did you, was it a brainstorming session? Somebody said Soros. How'd the idea come out? Walk us through the pre-planning, and then tell us about your expose.
Yeah, I was on a call 4 months ago, a Zoom call, like we all were during the pandemic. We've been on 1,000 Zoom calls with a group of guys in California that I've known for a very long time. And they just set up these, what they called culture conversations, and invited a couple of different speakers. And one was David Horowitz. Gary Bauer runs the gamut of well-known people. Gary Bauer, people that our audience here would know very well. One was someone I knew of, not very well, two people actually. One was Scott Walter from the Capital Research Center. He has spent decades of his life studying the left. And another we're going to have to call sort of the unknown comic, or the unknown researcher, we'll call this person, because this person has suffered from the long arms of George Soros, but has done amazing research and produced a graphic that we saw that day that was called the funding engine of the left, how the left does things. And the capstone, so it was a concentric circle type of chart, and the capstone of that concentric circles was the Open Society Foundation and George Soros. He doesn't give all of the money that goes to hard left progressive causes, but he directs almost all of it. Because he's so influential, his Open Society has $20 billion of capital in the corpus. He gives away over $1 billion a year, and every penny of that finds its way into left-wing progressive elements in society, including violent elements. Some of the things we've seen this summer. The more we looked into this and researched this, and the more we just sort of looked at what information is publicly available about George Soros, we wanted to do something that we often do in our ministry, and that is connect the dots for people, to help them see that what's the seeming chaos in the culture around us is not chaos at all. It's a result of a long-term plan. I would trace that, well, philosophically, we would trace it back to the French Revolution. I would trace it back to 1826. Robert Owen standing outside his communist commune in New Harmony, Indiana, in which he proclaimed his Declaration of Mental Independence. This was the 4th of July, 1826. And that was the day, of course, that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died. It was the 50th anniversary of the Declaration. And this guy, Robert Owen, stands up and says, there are a trinity of evil monstrosities besetting the world today, and they are private property, religion, and marriage. Well, fast forward nearly 200 years, what we're seeing today is a plan that has been worked at diligently and unfolding in our face. And George Soros is the distribution system of that plan. He is what Fred Smith is to FedEx and overnight delivery. George Soros is to the progressive, hard left socialist communist movement in our country today.
Wow. Now, that's a big statement to make. Your documentary details some of it. I think we have a 2 or 3 minute piece, Mark. We're going to play this. Then I want to look at it piece by piece, how you constructed it, what your argument was, how you anticipated a response to the argument. We want this show to persuade the objective listener, the objective viewer, that George Soros is an enemy, an enemy of the West, an enemy of the United States,
an enemy of the world.
And I'll lay out. Here's a little bit from his background that he stated, and then you could help interpret what this means, Dr. Wright. It seems that, and this is in the LA Times some years back, it seems that George Soros believes he was anointed by God. Quoting George Soros, "I fancied myself as some kind of God," small g. He once wrote, close quote, open quote, "If truth be known," Soros speaking, "I carried some rather potent messianic fantasies with me from childhood, which I felt had to be controlled, otherwise they may get me in trouble," close quote. When asked by Britain's independent newspaper to elaborate on that passage, Soros said, quote, "It is a sort of disease when you consider yourself some kind of God, the creator of everything. But I feel comfortable about it now since I began to live it out," close quote. That's 10 years ago. Let's look at a couple of minutes of your documentary, Exposing Soros, and then we want you to dive in with us. Here we go.
Almost everything you see is connected. It is one big web of lies. You have a handful of people like George Soros who really probably have the grasp of the full picture. And you have many, many, many thousands of minions who have no idea what the truth is, what's going on around them. George Soros is an enigma of sorts.
You went out with this protector of yours. Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right.
Was it difficult?
Not at all.
That is a very, very odd reaction to have when you're asked about something like that. Either you're lying to yourself or you're a sociopath who really doesn't feel for other people. I've spent decades of my life studying the left, and especially all the nonprofit apparatus built up in the left. He does bestride that as a colossus. George Soros' ideology is predicated on the same hard left causes that you see in Marxist activists. It's fundamentally anti-American because it's fundamentally anti-Boers. It opposes the idea of nationhood wherever it goes. Just in the first few months of 2020, he gave the Democratic Party and its appendages tens of millions of dollars.
Where's the money trail? And it tracks back to billions of dollars coming from George Soros into culture.
George Soros is definitely one of the most important people behind the social justice movement. The brutal murder of George Floyd was a fantastic opportunity for them to swing into action.
They are young, and they are emotionally driven, and they are out in the streets paid for by people like Soros.
We know that there are billionaires funding, George Soros being one of them, funding these groups that are creating chaos.
Soros' understanding of the world is effectively, we need to control it. People cannot take care of themselves. They need to be controlled by a handful of wealthy elites, technocrats, people who know what's best for you better than you do.
George Soros has been quietly working behind the scenes for decades.
The name George Soros crops up in the news a lot.
Over the years, George Soros has been accused of meddling in internal politics of a number of countries.
George Soros, public enemy
George
number
Soros,
one.
the greatest speculator
George
of them all.
Soros amassed around $1 billion that day, speculating on supporting anti-communist dissident
The man
activity.
who broke the Bank of England.
Wow! Thank God for D. James Kennedy Ministries that has influenced my life for close to 40 years. Amazing production quality and content. As you know, Dr. Wright, I'm an evangelical Christian. My co-host Susie Gold is an observant Jew. She has some questions about this Jewish thing. And Soros, what was that all about?
Yeah, of course, as the Jewish people, we are the scapegoats. Every generation, we have those that attack us. We have those that criticize us and condemn us, and we're the cause of so much negativity in the world. Whereas that's not true. But we do know in the case of George Soros that he was born Jewish. Can you tell us what it was that occurred in his life where he made this transition to really helping the Nazis?
George Soros was born before World War II in Hungary, and his parents, seeing the Nazi Holocaust to come, placed him with a Gentile who adopted him as his godson. Now, godson doesn't mean that much in the Western world where we are, but in Eastern Europe it did. He was effectively considered the son of this man who was a Gentile. And so George Soros was effectively able to disguise himself as a Gentile and did not get shipped off to the Holocaust, which makes it so extraordinary. He admitted that he went with this man. Now, he was 14 years old. But 14-year-olds is not 10 years old. It's not 7 years old. It's someone who's completely aware of their surroundings. He went around confiscating the property of Jews, identifying them to authorities so that they could be shipped off to the camps. This is, if you'll see the full program, you'll see Steve Croft interviewing Soros says, this is the kind of, to Soros, he says, this is the kind of stuff that gets people on the psychiatric couch for years. Mm-hmm. And then he asked Soros, did you have any guilt over this? And you saw it. No, not at all. Not at all. He does give the excuse of being 14. But so this is Soros's background. Now, by the way, let's be clear about Soros's Jewishness. He is an atheist. He does not believe in God. He doesn't believe God made him a little God. He uses the little g in his quotes because he knows he would be destroyed for using a big G by just about everybody in the world, for someone who claims that for himself. He believes he's the big G. He believes he is God who has been called to shape the world around us. Elsewhere, one of his quotes, he talks about the arc of history. The arc of history is always bent by great events and great people. He says, I believe I'm bending the arc of history in an important and good direction, which is, of course, communist socialism. Now, Susie, one thing he does do too, which is, you're probably, without saying it out loud, maybe you are speaking to this, George Soros is very quick to criticize anybody who calls him out as being anti-Semitic, as though we're criticizing George Soros for being a secular Jew. And we, of course, are not. We're criticizing him for his politics, his manipulation of elections, of currencies, and fomenting violence on the streets of America. It has nothing to do with his Jewishness. So Soros conveniently uses the anti-Semitism trope against us when we raise questions about him. But he is someone who is determined. He's 90 years old now, but he has children, and he influences every other liberal foundation that's out there. When you see a George Soros gift made, the Ford Foundation follows in step, the Rockefeller Foundation, all of those foundations, many of which started as conservative family foundations. Henry Ford was pretty anti-Semitic himself, but largely a conservative. He would be, here's my favorite line, Henry Ford would be spinning in his grave like a camshaft on one of his engines.
That's pretty good.
He knew what was being done with his money today.
Wow.
And so Soros is not only powerful in the things he does, it's who he follows, or who follow him. It's the network of tentacles that surround him. And so we created this follow the money chart, which shows where Soros and money from other left-wing progressive foundations goes. And we've documented it all fully. Interestingly, I love the premise of your show. We're not going to make outrageous claims that can't be documented. Everything in our special that we say is based on public information, but curiously, or not curiously, you would expect this to be the case. Soros was very careful about his financial dealings, and they had been largely opaque in many years. But there was a massive WikiLeaks leak of data some years ago that outed a good portion of some of the behind-the-scenes things with Soros. And that's how we were able to draw the lines and connect some of these dots together. George Soros can be traced to just about every left-wing progressive project you see in America today. And he's also really smart in that funnels some of his money through for-profit entities and avoids all the scrutiny because there's no disclosure required for a for-profit entity, right? For-profit entities pay their taxes and the IRS doesn't ask where they spent their money. So he believes so much in what he does, he doesn't need to get the tax deduction like too many of us on the right always have to see that tax deduction before we get involved and do something. Soros literally puts his money where his mouth is and influences tens of thousands of others to do the same.
Oh, that's frightening.
Dangerous man.
Frank, for decades, you have been educating the Christians, the world, but as a focus group, evangelical Christians, the Protestant side of the equation, on cultural issues, on historic issues, and their biblical political obligations to be true citizens in the full sense of the word. You put this expose on a guy that is a danger to the West, to America, out 1 month before the election. What does your timing have to do with the election, and what should Christians know on November 3rd when they go in there to vote?
Well, we're a nonprofit organization recognized under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code, right? So we don't endorse candidates, but we do unpack for people how political parties' platforms line up against the Bible. We let people know where the candidates stand on what we call the great moral, ethical, and cultural questions of our time. And so we consider our role education and awareness. And I will confess to the timing of this in part had to do with the desire to motivate people to get up off their duffs and get out and make a difference and stand for freedom in the voting booth. It's fine to pray about these things. It's the, for both the believing Jew and for the Christian, prayer is the most important thing you do because we believe in the sovereignty of Almighty God. But God always works through secondary causes, and we're the secondary cause. And so we produced this special. And by the way, we counted the cost here. George Soros is well known for reaching out to his opponents and trying to, in some cases, destroy them in the court of law, by just tying them up with expensive lawsuits, in the media, taking away their advertisers. Of course, we're a nonprofit. We don't have any advertisers. We have donors who support the work that we do. So it's not, we counted the cost in doing this. We recognized that, in fact, we revisited building security at our studios and offices, whether there was public information about where our employees live and can be found. We take nothing for granted here. He is a powerful man with powerful friends. Not all of them you didn't want to invite to Saturday Shabbat or Sunday dinner.
Wow. Your operational security is admirable and very, very important in today's crazy world. We got you for a couple more minutes, Dr. Wright. How could somebody see this very, very important expose?
Easiest way is it aired on the Lifetime Network Sunday morning this past Sunday, and the rest of our broadcast platform, but it continues to play on our website. And so if you'll go to DJKM, which stands for D. James Kennedy Ministries, djkm.org, and go to the Truths That Transform program, there's a link right on the home page. You can play the nearly 30-minute video that we produced and aired. Now, that 30-minute video was the condensation of more than a 1-hour program. So we also have produced a 1-hour DVD, a book on George Soros called George Soros Exposed, which is very, very helpful. It's a short book, but it, as I like to say, it punches above its weight class. It's full of important and valuable information. And then we published a Follow the Money chart so you can see where the funding of the radical left goes. And because we wanted people to have confidence in the argument that we're making and the information we're providing, we have published also a companion database showing every one of the foundations in the Soros network and the nonprofit organizations and where the money comes from, what they say their mission is, what they actually do, and how much of it comes from Soros and related entities.
Wow. All right, pretty amazing. These guys, they don't just knock out a video. They have a whole thing that goes with it. Yeah. And we know you exist like us on donations. If someone was listening and wanted to make a donation, how do they do that?
Well, they can also go to our website, djkm.org. There's a donate button, and we really do depend on donors to help us do the work that we do. And Tom, listen, you're in the same life raft that we are. There aren't very many people out there these days taking a biblical perspective and applying it to the world around us. On national broadcast television, there's not a single other Christian ministry that has a national broadcast platform that does what we do. Look, people could have taken on George Soros before. Why does little old D. James Kennedy Ministries have to be the one to stand up and do this? And it's because this is a time to stand for truth and to defend freedom. And that's what we do. That's what you do. And we depend on our donors for that support. So thanks for that little plug. And Tom and Susie, thanks for having me on again. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. No,
Thank you so much.
You're inherently justified in receiving donations, but on a personal level, as I said, Dr. Kennedy had a tremendous amount of influence in my life for many years. I was down there, at his church, at his work, at his conferences, all of that. And so we're behind you 100%. And look, on November 4, or whenever we find out, maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8, the world is going to change. And either way, the left is going to go insane. And thoughtful people, Christians, are going to be needed to lead, to provide information, either a resistance against Trump or just unfettered race toward Marxism. Our work, your work, is going to be needed even that much more. So I see a lot of good things. I don't know if they're good things. A lot of work together in the future to save the West. So you take care, Dr. Wright, and we will be in touch. And everybody, make sure you go watch this documentary.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
And you have to watch this because even organizations like Fox News are shutting it down. Newt Gingrich brings it up in his...
when Soros, Gingrich.
I actually have the video if you want to play it. It's real quick, like a minute, just to show you the level of this.
Well, are you familiar with that, Dr. Wright, when Gingrich...
I am. He made a reference to Soros, and the talk show host shut him down and said, well, we're not going to go in that direction. And Newt was quick. He said, so talking about George Soros is verboten on Fox News now?
I can play it.
I hear you. We're going to play it real fast. I want you to comment on it before you go. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay.
Speaker Gingrich, I know you have a final thought for us.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing, anti-police, pro-criminal district attorneys who refuse to keep people locked up. Just yesterday, they put somebody back on the street who's wanted for 2 different murders in New York City. You cannot solve this problem, and both Harris and Biden have talked very proudly about what they call progressive district attorneys. Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this. I was going to say you'd get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
That's Marie Hart.
Okay.
Okay. That's Harris.
So it's verboten.
All right.
So it's verboten. Use the German word. It's verboten. Newt's great.
They're just silencing their
silence. Look at that blank.
We're going to move on.
They don't know what to
Historic
say.
day at the White House. We covered it from stem to stem, stem to stern.
Actually, the next day, Harris Faulkner, the black talk show host, who's pretty good. She was with us in Israel at the embassy move. She did an apology, which really wasn't an apology. But Dr. Wright, hang on. Dr. Wright, you have a lot of experience with Soros now. What you make out of that Gingrich exchange on Fox?
You know, we've been watching Fox News for a long time, and let's be just honest about it. There's a drift to the left there. From the look on their faces, it's clear that there was a producer talking in their ear. They have their little earpiece in. Producers giving them instructions. It was that awkward ending. So it looks like this came from a higher level. This shutdown sort of came from a higher level, not just the host making that comment. And so it's unfortunate, but this is all the more reason why we need media that will be bold with the truth and not afraid of seeing, what do they try to do every time Tucker Carlson tells the truth? They try to target one of his advertisers to get him defunded. So, we need alternative media. The mainstream media the president is not wrong in calling it fake news. And we need to recognize, we need to be critical thinkers, and what we receive from any news source, we need to think about it, hold up against the straight stick of truth. And Tom, if you'll let me, one last thing to your comment. The day before the election, God will still be seated on his throne. All during election day, he'll still be seated on his throne. The day after, God will be seated on his throne. The only question before, during, and after is, what do the people of God, what do the people of the book who believe that the Word of God is his revelation of himself to the world, to the culture and everything in it, what do the people of God do about all this, whether that's believing Jews or Christians or just people who love America and want to see the freedoms that we have preserved. It really does come down to what we will do in these next weeks.
Yep.
Well said.
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Frank Wright, D. James Kennedy Ministries. We appreciate you, your time, all your work, and your staff and your donors. We know. It takes a lot to do what you just did.
Fox is
all
not
right.
our friend. Fox is
We'll
not our
catch
friend.
up with you next week or so.
Great.
All right,
Fox is not
Tom
our friend,
Trento,
Tom.
WNN 1470 on Friday. Then what, Mark?
Said Fox is not our friend.
Well, Fox has some problems. The Murdoch brothers are running it, and they're lefties. One of them is in L.A. with a movie star wife and all of that stuff. But it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank goodness, it's
Shabbat for you tonight.
Yeah.
Jumping Juma Freaky Friday for us.
Are we all coming over your house tonight for?
It's the end of Sukkot,
Oh, that's
and we're
right.
going into Simchat Torah, which so this is really the end of a month of various holidays to commemorate this time of year.
Sounds good to me. We're rounding the bottom of the hour right now on Friday. We got just a little time left, but I think we have a phenomenal woman with us, right?
We do.
You want to introduce our next
I
guest?
would love to introduce her. I had the pleasure of speaking with Mary yesterday. Mary Waller has joined us. She is the president of the Republican Club in Naples. Oh, nice to see you. I just spoke with you on the phone, so it's so nice to have you on. So tell us, what is it that you're doing at your club? And I know we have an event, right? An
That's
event
right.
where actually Tom will be speaking.
Later today.
So tell
I'll
us
be
what's
speaking.
going on there.
Well, we are actively working to get Donald Trump reelected. We have different campaigns out, from door knocking to door hanging. We're targeting the independent voters. We're targeting the churches. We have people going to the churches, getting people out there, telling them they need to vote. Every registered Republican in Collier County need to vote. They can vote by mail. They can vote early voting, and definitely can vote on election day. So it's a love type thing where everyone is out there. We're making phone calls. We're doing everything, and we have chose to have Tom come and speak to our members and let them know why they need to vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Collier County actually is a largely Republican area. I would think at this point, it's too late to register. So that you're talking about people that are already registered, and of course, our agenda is to ensure that the 5 million Christians in Florida that are registered to vote but aren't voting for some reason. We just want 1,000,001 of them. So the work you're doing is great. So do you find, as you're knocking on doors and you have this grassroots effort, that they're already Republican, but that you need to convince them to go out and vote?
Yes. And, convince them and remind them. It's just sometimes they already know that they should vote, but you need to remind them why they should vote and to help them get out there. I mean, we're offering all types of services for those that can't go. We're offering help. We have helplines. We have what we call voter guides. We put out a Republican voter guide. And on that voter guide, we list the Republicans on there, as well as the Republicans related to the amendment. Just get out and vote, that they need to vote. We want a 95% turnout of all registered Republicans in Collier County.
Wow.
That's what we're going
That's a
for.
great number.
If that happens, it's game over for the Democrats.
Yeah,
It really is.
that's big. Hey, Mary, this is Tom. I'll see you later today, but I got a question. We're doing the show now, and I have a monitor. I'm looking at you. And unless the color is off of my monitor, you look like a black woman, and you're a Republican.
Very beautiful woman.
A very beautiful black woman. What is going on? How could a black woman be a Republican? And tell us about that.
Yeah, Biden says you're black.
If you're black, you got to vote for him.
It has really nothing to do with being black. I'm just a Republican who just happened to be black. I believe in conservative ideas. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe in what it stands for. You sometimes have to overlook traditional ways that people go. Everyone thinks just because you are black that you are a Democrat, that you go for those ways, but you have to look at things and analyze what the data and the information that you're getting intelligently. You just don't go for it just because it's there. You just don't make up excuses for being a Democrat. There is really no reason any black person should be a Democrat. We're going with, can you see that?
Yep,
Byron
yep.
Donalds. He's going to be the next U.S. Congressman from District 19 for Florida.
Yay.
And in a Republican stronghold, he is going to go. He pulled out. So it's not about, it's knowing your values and living by your values. That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, you're making too much sense for those on the left. I mean, I thought once the President Obama was elected twice, the whole thing of race. I'm an evangelical Christian, and the concept of race almost doesn't even exist on a personal level. No theoretical level, academic level. You gotta study all this. But you see people for who they are, as people made in the image of God, and they're either good or bad, whatever.
Right.
And if they're intelligent, they would follow the principles of the Republican side. But Susie Gold, my co-host here, she's an observant Jew. And if you talk to your liberal Jewish friends, it's a fight. It's a battle, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's where you're coming from, that as an observant Jew, Tom and I are more alike than I am with my fellow non-observant, non-practicing Jewish friends who really are not so Jewish anymore, really distant from their Judaism. I make the analogy of what happened to the Jewish people in Germany. They were more German than they were Jewish. They wanted to be accepted. Right. They assimilated. It wasn't just an assimilation, but it was really, they moved away from their identity. They moved away from God. And, and that's what's happening now. They're not connected to Israel. They are not. When I talk to my Jewish friends that are liberal and I say, but look at just Trump's record on Israel. Well, I live here. I don't live there. So there is a disconnect, and they don't realize the importance of Israel, not just to the Jewish people, but to the entire world, to the United States and the world. So there is a total disconnect, and it's unfortunate. But I have more in common, and I can have more of an intelligent conversation with my Christian brothers and sisters.
Tom, she ain't black. She's not black. I said so. Here, I got that.
But it's a good space. Here in Collier County is a different place. Have you any of you ever been to Naples?
Oh yeah, many times.
Yes.
Great place,
beautiful,
great
wonderful place, and
friendly.
And when you look at it, I'm president of the Women's Republican Club in Naples. That's a feat in itself. So we tend to take people for their values and try to overlook or not look at the color aspect and not let that influence you. And that's not to say that there are some that do, but you have to deal with it. You deal with it and you go on. So it's very good. We have a very good relationship here in Collier County.
Well, I can't wait to, after the show, I'm getting in my, a friend has a very fast car, and we're driving right across Alligator Alley, and we'll be there on time. What's the event? Tell us about the event. And
the event is our every once a month. On the second Friday of every month, we hold a luncheon meeting, which we call, and we come bring out speakers. We try to get good speakers that's going to motivate and educate our members on the right. And no one can speak at our event if they're not a Republican. I guess that's a little prejudice, but that's just the way we are. Okay? So we're going to have Tom there, and Tom is going to be speaking on election 2020, the spiritual battle of America. And along with Tom, we're going to have Father Michael Orsi. Father Orsi is a very outspoken conservative Catholic priest. He's very well respected in the area, and he's very well respected within the Catholic community. So we are all God-fearing people, and we believe, like Tom believes, that every registered Christian should be out voting. And not only Christians, we have a good bit of Jewish membership, and a lot of them belong to the Republican Jewish Coalition. We are involved. So we're going to listen to Tom, see what he has to say, and we're looking for him to motivate us. We want to go say, yeah, you're right, and get up and go out and fight. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to serve a great meal. And Tom, make sure you don't eat too much.
All right,
You're going across the alley. There's not a lot of places to stop for. You know what? So
I'll see you later.
We're going to have fun today.
Yeah. We'll see you later on. Yeah. If we have to stop on the alley, we'll get alligator bits or crawdaddies or something. But no, I'm waiting to get to that club of yours. So, Mary, we thank you.
Tiburon Golf Course. Tiburon Golf Club is a beautiful place for Ritz-Carlton, so it's very nice.
And I will change.
We do it up well.
I will change my studio clothes.
Wait a minute. No t-shirt.
Thank you.
I will
put on a suit.
I will. Not a tie.
No tie though.
No
you don't have to wear a tie.
No tie, but I will have a jacket. So
you're gonna be great, and we had a lot of lovely women, and they love good-looking men like Tom.
All right.
Come on in.
Sounds like a date. All right, Mary. Thank you very, very much. We admire what you're doing, and we're looking forward to later today. We'll see you.
Well, thank you very much.
In a few hours. All right.
Okay.
So much,
see you.
Mary.
Drive careful.
All
we
right,
don't want
absolutely.
you to call and say I'm not making it. So
okay, no problem.
Okay. All right then. Bye-bye.
You're a great lady.
She's
Tom.
She's
great. Yeah,
she's not black. She's
right.
There's no way she can be black. Believe me, that stuff.
I know.
She's
too
Biden said it. I got the clip.
Too sensitive. No, we know the Biden said. All right, we got a few minutes left in Friday's show here. About 10 minutes, 11 minutes, something like that. Yeah. We're on the same wavelength.
Look at that. Yeah.
Well, it's been a good week. WNN. We got to tell the call sign. We need to play one of our spots that we've been doing the PSAs. We got to get that in. We got to get a little peel in on this Friday before we lose you for a while.
Yep.
And then we're taking right off. Mark's going, Barry's going. We're going over there. But Tom Trento, your host, my little co-host here is Susie Gold. And
do we make an announcement about Damon or no?
No. Well, yeah, I'll make an announcement. Damon may or may not be here next week. Damon
a definite
Rosen,
maybe.
Yeah, Damon Rosen. Many of you know him from our years of doing this.
Yeah, fans of Damon.
He's stuck in Israel with a whole variety. On the first day he's back, we'll let him tell you. We have a 4-hour special on all the mistakes and errors and everything. But he may be here Monday the 12th. And he may not be here.
We hope. You have to tune in, and then you'll know.
Yeah, it all depends on the flights and the Wuhan and his dog and everything else. But Franco Canati will be here.
Right.
Do a little
it's
thing
Columbus Day.
Columbus Day, yeah. I'll be bringing pizza and wine for everybody.
All right.
But we're on WNN
Sue
1470.
Trombino's coming on Monday, too.
Oh, Sue Trombino, another Italian girl. Hey,
Sue Trombino's president of Women Impacting
Susie
the Nation.
Goldie. You have to change your name to Susie Goldino. Susie Goldino.
I love meatballs. Hey, I grew up in an Italian neighborhood.
Why don't you cue up the PSA we have on the 13% deal, and why don't you ask these people for like a Friday donation?
Yeah. So, here we are bringing excellent programming, and we are just doing everything possible with billboards and anything that we can do to wake up America, wake up Florida, to first of all go out and vote. Make sure that you vote intelligently. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for capitalism. It's a vote for America. We want to keep America free. And in order to do that, you need to give us a donation so that we can continue doing the work that we're doing. So please go on theunitedwest.org, click on the donate button. And, I say give what your heart tells you to give. You know what? We all have resources. And this is the time to dig into your resources. Give to theunitedwest.org so that we can continue doing the work that we're doing. Use those resources wisely, because the world won't look the same. And whatever monies you think you have, you won't have them anymore. And just like Kamala Harris, when she said that they're not going to tax us, they're going to tax us. So whatever monies you think you have, you won't have them. So, give your monies now so we can do the work, so we can ensure that Floridians and Americans vote intelligently, vote for Donald J. Trump, vote for capitalism. So please give a donation. Give it today before you forget. Give it, here it is Friday, great day to make donations. And just for those that know, I am an Orthodox Jew. I am observant, that we do tape some shows, because I don't want people to think that I'm working on a yontif. I am not. She says, hey, she says she's observant, but she does this and she does
It's magic
that.
of television.
But do you know there's 613 commandments? There's a lot of stuff we
got to do.
You
gotta follow.
Oh man, we got a lot of laws to follow. But I impeach everyone. It is part of what we do as a people. That's how organizations survive. So please be generous.
Just to emphasize what she is saying, Florida is the keystone to this whole election. If Florida goes, we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this to get rich by any stretch of the imagination. Trust me, we're doing it because we believe in our country. We believe in God. We believe in saving our country. And if Florida goes, it's done for, guys. We're going to lose the election, and that's just simple. We cannot lose Florida. Cannot lose Florida, and they're making a billion dollar effort to come after Florida. George Soros and all the groups, all of them are coming right here. Andrew Gillum, everybody.
Yeah,
coming
they have
right
their
after
presence
us.
known here, and they're pumping millions and millions of dollars.
If we were a leftist organization, we'd have Brinks trucks lining up outside our door. So get up off your butts and help us out, because we can make an impact, and so can all these other groups. So step up. Time to step up, and our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. Last line in the Declaration of Independence, my friends.
Yeah, and it is important because we have 3 weeks left, and we don't know how long we can even stay on the air. Looks like we're going to make it to the end, but we're going to have some debt that's going to be a problem. So I view us as it's a war, spiritual battle for America. Here's a flyer we put together. Florida, Trump, you see Andrew Gillum, who's still behind the scenes. He's not out of it. Ilhan Omar. Those two represent the red-green axis, the jihadi Muslims joining with the Marxists to defeat Trump here in Florida, battle for America. We view it as we're the frontline soldiers. We're willing to do what Frank said, to see if we're public anywhere, if we have to be concerned about security, all of that. We're doing it. We were called to do it. But just like in a war, people pay taxes to have soldiers go fight the battles. We're not a public entity. We're a private nonprofit. The taxes are donations. You provide the donations, we fight the battle, you live a better life. It's that simple. In fact, listen to this this public service announcement about a plan that will be brought back to the United States from the Biden administration. It's called the 13% solution.
Oh, I don't have that.
And you don't have that one?
I got the one that we did the other day.
Okay, that's a good one too, with the hundreds of millions of dollars. There's two pieces we've been running. One is the 13% solution, and Obama and Biden said that the black population in America is 13%. Therefore, everywhere there are white people, there has to be 13% black people. And if you have suburbs, which may be Asian, an Asian culture or whatever, you have to have 13% black people in there. If you have they're Haitians. If you have an Italian area, you have to have 13% in there. Yeah. So look, your donations help us fight the battles. And one of the battles that you may see again if Biden gets in is something that Donald Trump stopped. He stopped this because it's so crazy. It's called the 13% solution, formulated by President Obama and Biden. And they simply said, black community is 13% of the population. we're going to force 13% integration in every suburb, every neighborhood, everything, everywhere, because that's the equitable thing to do. This is a totalitarian Marxist approach to having a result that where there's equality. There's no barriers to anyone living anywhere in the United States. We have rules against all of that stuff. You may need money to get into a neighborhood. That's what you strive for. I live in a middle-class neighborhood. I'd love to live on the ocean. Now we're going to have 13% of Tom Trento middle-class people are going to be forced to live on the, maybe I would like that. That's not a bad idea, you know. It's a bad idea because now you start forcing people to do stupid stuff, and that destabilizes. Listen to this PSA.
Thanks. We all moved down from up north to escape the crime, congestion, and tumult of the big cities. We reside in a suburban Florida paradise. Over 55 communities, enjoying relationships with our friends and neighbors. We mingle with fellow seniors and share common stories of our childhoods and backgrounds. We're happy, but a Biden win will change all that. Back in 2015, Biden and Obama concocted and set into play the 13% racial integration solution that would destroy our suburbs from the top down. Known as affirmatively furthering fair housing, these rules would have legislated our over 55 as discriminatory, rezoned our areas to permit high-rise, high-occupancy, low-income residences, and turned our Eden-like neighborhoods into the likes of Portland, Seattle, Chicago, and New York City. President Trump and his HUD chair, Ben Carson, recently killed this legislation, but a Biden win will guarantee its resurrection to destroy our communities. To safeguard your lifetime investments and to ensure your continued senior citizen lifestyle, vote to keep President Trump in the White House for another 4 years.
What do you think, Susie?
We have a lot of work to do over the next 24 days. To
is that what it is?
We got 24 more days to election day. We've got work to do. There's a lot of people that still have not gone to vote. They're going to be going to the polls. We have those that are sending in absentee ballots. We do recommend that. Take them down to the polling.
Walk them in, man.
Walk them in. Make sure that you see that it's gone into the correct ballot box. That's where we're at these days. There's a lot of cheating going on. So, but let's just make sure that we vote. We vote for Donald J. Trump. We make sure that follow the ballot suggestions. You can go on theunitedwest.org, and there are ballot suggestions on there. You could go on Women Impacting the Nation. You can contact any of us.
Guides. Yeah, good
voter guides, so that you understand what you're voting for when it comes to the amendments, the judges. There are also the local congressional races. We want to make sure Laura Loomer gets in District 21. So, you know what? Every single vote counts. Christians, get out there. Jews, vote Republican. Those that are independent, vote Republican. This is a war. This is good versus evil. Good being the Republican Party. Huge election. The most important election in our history.
And I want to bring up the point with about Andrew Gillum is actually a prime example of what we're talking about. We are on the forefront. We are on the battleground lines of this fight. If it wasn't for us, Andrew Gillum would be governor of Florida. I'm 100% convinced of that.
Our work in 2018.
Sure. Well, yeah, you were out in the Panhandle. There was the hurricane there, and you were going there with buses and getting people to go and drive physically. You gave them food, gave them clothes, and physically drove them to the polling stations.
And also look at Laura Loomer. She would not be here without the efforts of Tom and this organization.
Well, you got all kinds of bells ringing here.
I know.
All right.
Yes, please, everybody. As soon as you pull your cars over, the first thing you need to do is, just like they say on QVC, they kind of hypnotize you. As soon as you pull out in your cars, I want you to pick up your phone and put in the website for the UnitedWest.org.
I know some people they hypnotize. All right, well, say goodbye. We got to get going here.
Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
We'll see you on Monday, the 12th.
See you on Monday. Oh, I hope.